Desmond has a barrow in the marketplace. Molly is the singer in a band. Desmond says to Molly, girl, I like your face. And Molly says this as she takes him by the hand. Obla-dee, obla-dar, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. Obla-dee, obla-dar, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. Desmond takes a trolley to the jeweler's store, buys a 20-carat golden ring, takes it back to Molly waiting at the door, and as he gives it to her she begins to sing. Obla-dee, obla-dar, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. Obla-dee, obla-dar, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. A couple of years they have built a home sweet home. A couple of kids running in the yard of Desmond and Molly Jones. Happy ever after in the marketplace. Desmond lets the children lend a hand. Molly stays at home and does her pretty face, and in the evening she still sings it with the band. Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on, brah, la-la, how the life goes on. Hey, how you doing? Justin here today. We are checking out Obla-dee, Obla-da by the Beatles. I'm doing a capoed version, which is slightly less common to what you're going to see. Generally speaking, people are putting a capo at the first fret and using like E, A, and D and an F sharp minor bar chord. But actually, I think it works really, really well to use the capo at the third fret and using different chord shapes, because you can kind of pick out that little bass line, the little kind of riff thing that happens in there as well. You don't have to though, so you can play it real simple. If you're a beginner, you only need G, C, D and E minor all of the way through the tune, but there are a couple of other little fancy things that you can add in as well for the little bridgy part as well. Let's get to a close-up and check it out. Let's start by looking at just the chords. The first one you need is a G chord. I tend to use the third and fourth fingers, but if that's a little bit difficult for you, you could just use second and third fingers. Remember, if you're struggling with any of the chords or the strumming, do go and check out the beginner lessons on my website, where there's a lot more detail on all of these different chords and the different strumming patterns and all of that sort of stuff. So first of all, you want a G. You're going to need a D chord. It's only a pretty standard way of playing a D chord there. C chord, again, pretty standard. Just make sure for beginners that the third finger is muting the thicker string there. And you need a E minor. So we start with the G chord. So G chord has a barrow in the D chord place. Molly is the singer in a G. 2, 3, 4. Desmond says to Molly, girl, I see your face, and Molly G chords as she D's him by the G. Let's have that one more time again, just to make sure you get the chord progression right. Before you get into any fancy strumming or picking or anything like that, you really want to make sure that you can play the chords nice and simple and get the chord changes correct. So, starting on the G. G chord has a barrow in the D chord place. We stay on D for another bar. D chord is the singer in a G. 2, 3, 4. Stay on G. G chord says to Molly, girl, I C chord your face. And Molly, G for 2 beats, then D for 2 beats, and back to G for a whole bar. Chorus, obla G, obla da, life goes D to E minor, G, how the D goes G. Again, obla G, obla da, life goes D to E minor, G, how the D goes G, 2, 3, 4. A really good thing to be doing when you're learning a song like this is to write down the chord progression with the strum line so you know exactly how many beats are played on each chord. The very chorus part, obla G, 2, 3, 4. 2 on D to 2 on E minor, 2 on G, then 2 on D, and then 4 on G, 2, 3, obla G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 on D, 2 on E minor, back to G, back to D, and then back to G for a whole bar. Just writing down the structure of the chord progressions is really going to help you out a whole lot, okay? So we've looked already at the verse and the chorus. It goes verse, chorus, the obla di, obla da is played twice, then it goes through another verse, and there's another chorus. Then it goes into this new section. I kind of call it a bridge. In a couple of years, they have built a home sweet home. That part moves to a C chord, so in a couple of years, they have built a home sweet G, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, with a couple of kids running in the yard of G chord going to D, 2, 3, 4. Okay, again, that bridge again. So it's couple of bars on the C, couple of bars on the G. There's a really nice little rundown thing that we'll talk about a little bit later as well when we get into picking out more intricate ways of strumming the part. So started on the C, in a couple of years they have second bar, a home sweet G, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and C. Couple of kids running second bar in the yard of G chord and Molly D, 2, 3, 4. So after that bridge, it goes back to another verse, and then I think a double chorus, and you're pretty much through the whole song. Once you're feeling confident with the chord progressions and the simple strumming, you can start to move on to doing something a little bit more interesting. And to get the right vibe for this song, what we're going to be doing is playing a bass note and then a chord, all with down picks. So we'd start with the G chord, we'd play the bass, and then a strum on the thinner string. So we're targeting the thicker strings, thinner strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Gives it a real offbeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So Desmond has a barrow in the D chord. Now for the D, you're going to be playing the 4th string and then a strum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and G, 2 and 3 and 4 and Molly says, girl, I like your face. The C, now we're playing the 5th string. And then he says this as she takes him by the hand. Bass, chord, the D, up the da, life goes on, brah, la la, how the life goes on. It's a really, really great little exercise this, playing the bass note and then a strum. Lots of different styles use this. We're going to get a little bit more fancy in a second as well, but a starting point, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Same for the bridge. In a couple of years they have built a home sweet home. what I'd recommend you do now is take that particular strumming pattern, so playing the bass note on the beat and the thinner strings in between, and take that pattern through the whole song. Learn to play along with the original recording or a backing track. Make sure you got it down. You want to build a solid foundation before you start adding in anything more tricky. So the next step up is to add a little bit of the flavour of Paul McCartney's most excellent bass line. It doesn't sound exactly the same the way I'm going to show you because I feel like he's doing a slide. I feel like it's got more... got that feeling, but we can kind of copy that a little bit. So we start with our G chord down and we play the thicker string, then the chord, then the open 5th string, and then we're going to hammer down the 2nd fret, probably with your 2nd finger if you're playing a G chord, like using 3rd and 4th fingers. 1, 2 and 3, 1. You probably just want to start just on the G like this. Get used to it because it's actually pretty fast when you get it up to full speed. If you can't do it slowly, no way you're going to do it fast, especially if you want to sing, right? Doing it at this speed and being able to talk and communicate or sing, really good idea. So that would be what we play on the G chord. On the D chord, where before we just played the bass note and then the chord, if you want you can alternate the bass here, so you play the D, which is the 4th string, and then the 5th string, 4th string, 5th string. Back to the G. For the C chord, it's the same idea as the G. So 5th string, and then you're going to hammer on with your 2nd finger on the 4th string. G, D, G. Let's just go through that whole verse now and put it all into context. So starting on the G, still nice and slow. Desmond has a barrow in the marketplace. Molly is the singer in a band. Desmond says to Molly, girl, I like your face. And Molly says this as she takes him by the hand. Now what happens when you start to speed it up is sometimes you're likely to get a bit of an up strum as well. So it's not that's straight. Allow the upstrokes. And it's not really specifically one or the other. You can choose a little bit. I don't think putting it all the time sounds great, but it's likely to happen and you can either choose to fight it or not. It's up to you whether you want to keep it straight or add it in. Doesn't really matter, kind of up to you really on that one. The same thing works for the obla-di, obla-da, although of course there's a couple of measures where there's 2 chords in each one, so it's a little bit faster, but the idea stays the same. Obla-di, obla-da, life goes on, brah, la, la, how life goes on. The G and the da, life goes on. E minor, you can go for the E minor, you can go thicker string, 5th string if you want. You don't have to. Life goes on, brah, la, la, life goes on. Obla-di, obla-da, life goes on, brah, life goes on. Do remember that you don't have to do all of this stuff. If you're a beginner guitar player, I wouldn't be going near this stuff at all. But what I love with songs like this is you can start with them pretty simple and they can grow, and you can start adding in more complicated things as your technique and your knowledge of playing guitar increases. So it's kind of lots of fun. Now, there's a couple of other little points that I want to make in this tune that are a little interesting kind of chordal embellishments that go along with the fancier strumming there. The first one is actually, it's pretty simple. Even a beginner could handle that, really. It would be adding in a D7 chord in the second measure of the D7 in the verses. So the point for that one would be G. Desmond has a barrow in the marketplace. Here you can change to D7. Molly is the singer in a band. Yeah, I have to. Molly says, I like your face. And Molly says this as she takes him by the hand. In this song, it's in the key of G, so anytime you've got a D chord, you can add that D7 in. But it does sound particularly good there in the verse. So going G, then a barrow in the D chord place to D7. Just really works nicely in that particular spot. The other place where there's a nice embellishment is in the bridge. So from the C chord, in a couple of years they have built a home sweet home. And we're really after this G, then adding second finger here, second fret of the third string, makes it a G add 9, lifting it off, and then I tend to put it here, little finger, third fret, or 3 frets above the capo really, on the fourth string. And what we're after is this da 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 on the G. Da, 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 da. Okay, you could use your second finger there. See people playing it that way, it feels awkward to me. I tend to use my little finger there, but yeah, works nice. In a couple of years they have built a home sweet home. In a couple of years running in the yard of Desmond and Molly Jones. I always kind of hear that, I don't know, that's what's on the record. I can't remember, but that's a little G triad if you want to add that in, barring 3 frets above the capo, thinnest 2 strings and 4th fret. Just one of those things where when I learned this tune a long time ago, I seem to have added that in there, and now I can't remember if it's on there. I did listen to the track actually just before doing this lesson, but sometimes it just kind of floats away in the moment and I don't want to have to load up the computer and get it down. You can have a listen to it, and remember, with all of these tunes, what I would encourage you to do is make up your own version. Learning the one off the record is really cool. It's a good idea. There are things to learn from that. If you're playing it on your own, you can make it up. I've already done like a made-up version because I've changed the capo position. I'm introducing the little kind of bass idea into the guitar part, which isn't on the original recording. So we're already kind of skirting around what is played on the original recording a little bit, and I would encourage you to do that. You could play it lots of different ways, and pick a vibe on the song and see how you want to play it. Like I said, the original one I think is going to be played with a capo on the 1st fret using A, D and E. So it's got that bar chord in there. It just makes it's a lot harder to make it, I feel like, as smooth as if you put the capo on the 3rd fret. But again, a more advanced guitar player, maybe you'd like to check that out as well. It does mean that you can get them. You can get that bass part going. It could be the kind of thing where you had one guitar with a capo in the 1st fret concentrating on playing that bass note thing, and the other guitar with a capo on the 3rd fret playing it as I've showed you there. There are lots of different approaches here, and I would encourage you to explore them all, particularly if you've got somebody that you can have a jam with and explore these things together. It's always fun to make little expeditions in guitar land with somebody else, with a jam buddy. So I would encourage you to try and find one if you can. think that's enough for this tune. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember, there are, I was going to say hundreds, definitely not more hundreds, but many, many more Beatles songs over on the website. So do go and check that out. Remember, you go to justinguitar.com/songs, and you can filter by artists and filter by difficulty and the chords that you know. Lots of different ways of finding songs that you're going to really enjoy playing. Have yourself an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you for more lessons very soon. Bye bye.